Welcome back to How to Cake It. I'm Yolanda, and because Valentine's Day is coming up, I caked a chocolate teddy bear. It's the perfect Valentine's Day gift, and now you can eat it too. You can have your bear and eat it too. I'm going to make the head, the body, and the legs of my chocolate teddy bear cake out of vanilla cake dyed a beautiful light pink. Then I'm going to make his ears, his arms, and his nose out of sculpting Rice Krispies. I baked my batter in 10 different round cake pans, and now that they are baked and cooled, I'm removing them, leveling them, and removing the caramelization from the bottom. For the cakes that are going to make up the body, I am layering them into 2 layers each. When making complicated novelty cakes, I always bake more cake than I think I need. So if you want to learn more about how I baked this cake, you can click right here on the I, which will lead you to my blog. The I is for information. And once all of my cakes are prepared, it's time for simple syrup. This week was kind of an ordeal because it is Sir Squeeze and Fennell's first Valentine's Day together. And so Sir Squeeze over here was flying Fennell around the world on his jet. And we had to interrupt their vacay so that he could help me in the kitchen. I'm going to begin by building the body of my chocolate teddy bear, and the first thing I need to do is fill and stack my 6 7-inch round layers with chocolate ganache. Because this bear is not only chocolate on the outside, he's chocolate on the inside. Cody, why am I filling this cake with ganache?
I would imagine you're probably using ganache because you want it to be more sturdy.
Well, somebody has been reading the cake book, I see. Cody, I'm impressed. Once all these cakes are filled with ganache, I place them in the fridge to chill before I start carving my body. For the head of this teddy bear, I am using 2 5-inch round cake and 2 6-inch round cakes. And I begin by cutting a side off each one of the 5-inch cakes, so I have a straight edge, and I'm going to butt those 2 straight edges up against each other. I spread a little bit of ganache on the side of one of my 5-inch rounds and butt them together. This is just to glue them together and make sure they stay in place. Now I need to build up the head, so I spread more chocolate ganache, add a 6-inch round layer on top in the middle, and then I spread another layer of ganache and add another 6-inch layer. At this point, I realized that the head is a little too short. So remember how I said bake more cake than you need? I grab an extra 5-inch cake layer that I have, level it, and remove the caramelization from the bottom. And then again, I spread more ganache and add that 5-inch layer on top. Now I can chill this cake so it's ready to be carved. And I'm going to start carving the body of this teddy bear cake. I find that having a circle cutter or even just a round template on top helps me to carve evenly, because as you cut away and turn your Lazy Susan, you might be making it uneven without even noticing. You don't want a crooked bear, especially for Valentine's Day. And then I flipped my cake over and I carved the bottom. So again, I used a circle cutter just to help me, carving in the same fashion, but this time it's only 1/3 of the way down to meet the part I've already carved. It's been 3 years since How to Cake It launched. Our first video was a Valentine's Day video, and we just want to say a huge thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for laughing with us. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing our videos and telling your mama. Now I flipped my cake back right side up, and I decided it was a little bit short. So here's another cake decorating tip. Whenever I level my cakes, I always save the humps to the side, because you never know when you need a cake hump. So I took a couple of my cake humps, leveled them, and then used a circle cutter that's the same size as the top of my cake and cut out 2 rounds of cake. Then Sir Squeeze, thank goodness he hung around, simple syrup them for me. And I added more ganache and added a cake round. I actually decided on only using 1, but I'm glad I saved all of my humps. Now that I'm happy with the shape of the body, I'm just gonna put it aside and carve the head. To carve the head, I want to create a fairly round head. So again, you just want to use your serrated knife from the top down and carve all the way around until you're happy with the teddy bear head shape. The one thing to keep in mind is you want the bottom of the head to be the same size as the top of the body. You don't want his head to look like too big for his body. Okay guys, I want to know, have you subscribed to my new channel, How to Cake It Step by Step? We have an amazing Valentine's Day compilation up there right now. And in this Thursday's upcoming video, we're gonna be announcing a new contest only available on that channel. So go there and subscribe. It's an awesome giveaway. You won't believe what it is. It's so much fun. I wanna win. And now, it's time to crumb coat them.
Joseph says she wants to...
Sing it? Sing Crumb Coat and Chill?
No, she's happy that you're singing it,
Okay.
but she also wants you to dance at the same time.
I can't. My neck hurts. It's gonna be an awkward dance, guys. I have like a pinched nerve. I'll be like, I can only dance on this side. Okay? Crumb Coat and Chill. How ridiculous was that?
That's enough ridiculous.
Okay, good. Enough ridiculous. Now, before I send it to chill, I am keeping the body close by so that I can carve my 2 feet. I'm cutting 3 straight sides out of each cake and leaving one part of it rounded. The round side will be the front of the foot. So like his paw, I guess. Now I'm using a small serrated knife to round out the whole foot as well as remove all of the caramelization. So you can see right here. First I carved round down like that. Yep, exactly like that. And then you want to carve the front to make it rounded for the paw. Exactly like that. Exactly like that. Okay, well done, yo. Well done. That was exactly what I wanted. Once I'm happy with the shape of both feet, I have Sir Squeeze shower them with simple syrup, and once the syrup's soaked in, I crumb coat them, and then I chill all the parts of my bear. As I mentioned before, I am making the arms, the ears, and the nose for this teddy bear out of Rice Krispie. So I mix together my sculpting Rice Krispie recipe, and then I get sculpting. I make my arms simply by taking 2 equal portions of the sculpting Rice Krispie and creating the shape that I want for the left and right arm. Once again, just like when I carved the feet, you want to do this simultaneously. Then I move on to sculpting his little ears. Just sculpt the ears, you know, cute little round ears. Again, carving them and sculpting them simultaneously. It's time to make the nose for this bear. I basically want to make like a 2-dimensional oval that will sit on his face. So I just create this oval. I actually used a really round bowl that I had in the kitchen and pressed the Rice Krispie inside to achieve the shape I want. Once you're happy with all your Rice Krispie parts, you can crumb coat and chill. Crumb coat and chill.
Don't move your neck too
I know,
much.
it hurts. It really hurts. Now that my crumb coat is chilled, it's time to ice these body parts with more Italian meringue buttercream. Now speaking of buttercream, maybe you've noticed my t-shirt. This tee was a part of the pun-off competition that we did. It was actually an impromptu competition that we had during our last camp cake, because we asked people to just write down our puns and everybody was just brainstorming puns live while we were baking. And Sarah Green, congratulations, you won because this was your pun. And we will contact you about your gift very soon. Once I've iced all the parts as smoothly as I can, I place them back in the fridge to chill. Okay, it's time for fondant. I am covering this teddy bear in chocolate fondant because it's Valentine's Day. I roll my chocolate fondant a little larger than the size of my cake, and then I pick it up on a French rolling pin, drape it over, and quickly smooth it onto the cake. Anyone who's shooting, I always give them warning. Like, this is the one thing I can't slow down for you. It's just like, drop and smooth. It's very serious. It's almost as serious as a flip. Next, I cover the head of my body in the very same way. Of course, measure the head, roll out your fondant a little bit bigger, drape it over, and smooth. It's the old drape and smooth. To cover the feet, I do this a little bit differently. So I'm just covering around and down the back, down that skateboard ramp. And then I flip the foot over onto a sponge. I don't want to put it on a flat surface because this will flatten the fondant, and I don't want to hold it because then you'll have a handprint in the bear's foot. Which is weird, right? It's weird. So at the front of the foot, just smooth a little bit of fondant over, and you're still gonna have a round opening, which we will address I selected an oval cutter. I tried a circle cutter first, but it ended up being oval. That's the same size as the opening. Cut out 2 ovals and then place them into the opening at the front of the feet and smooth them in place. Don't worry about that seam, because I'm the seam hider. I love the seam hider opening, Orhan. Thank you so much. I covered the arms of the bear in the same fashion that I covered his legs. For the ears, I also wrapped my chocolate fondant around them, first covering the front, flipping it over onto a sponge, and then draping it around the back and trimming as needed. I decided to cover his nose in a tan colored fondant, so I rolled it out, draped it over, and smoothed it. I want to leave extra fondant around the nose. It will help me to secure it to the cake later. Let's start putting this teddy bear together. I measure my dowels, cut them all the same size, and insert them in a circular formation into the body. Then I need 1 dowel that will go through the center of the body and also be through the head, holding it in place. I spread a little royal icing on top of the body as glue, and then I lower the teddy bear's head down so the dowel's in the center, pressing it gently in place. Let's add the feet to this bear. I'm just going to hold them up against the front of the bear, figure out the position I want them in, and I actually use a sharp paring knife to trim away some of the fondant on the skateboard ramp part of the foot so that it fits right up close to the bear. Now at this moment, I am not going to glue the feet to the bear because I might want to readjust them with some of the decorations later. Hattie Cake It is turning 3 this year on February 10th. So in honor of that, we're having a huge sale at hattiecakeit.com. Everything is on sale until February 11th, so head to hattiecakeit.com and check it out. We're getting to my favorite part. It's time to start creating the details to decorate this bear. I rolled out some light pink fondant and a sheet of red fondant. I created a template for myself just from a piece of paper to make the oval belly on my teddy bear. Now lay your oval piece of paper onto your light pink fondant and use the tip of a sharp paring knife to cut around it. I'm using some piping gel to glue the belly to the cake. You see, this is why I didn't want to glue the feet to the cake right away, because now I can just move the feet out of my way and glue the belly to the cake. Makes life so easy, removable feet. You know? How easy would life be if your feet were removable? Not easy, because you'd fall over.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was a good idea. Remember how I told you that we would address the seams on the ends of our arms and feet? Well, we're going to use the same oval and circle cutters that we used when covering the arms and feet and cut out circles and ovals of pink fondant. Then with some piping gel, we can glue it directly over that area, smoothing it down with our fingertip, and
ta-da!
bye-bye seams. So in order to make these new pink parts look like they are patches sewn on, they need some stitching. I fold these pieces of paper into 8 equal parts, kind of like a pie, and then I make a mark on each line. Now I can hold the template up against the cake, and I use a pin to puncture through the marks. For the actual stitches, I'm using my clay extruder to create some red cords that I'm going to cut into equal lengths using a ruler. I'm going to use a little bit of piping gel to glue these short pieces of cord right onto the marks I made on the pink parts and connecting them to the brown part of the body. So it's like a stitch that connected the patch to the body. I use a sculpting tool to press the stitches into the cake on either end, making them look like they've actually been sewn in. To add the arms, I'm using some 8-inch thick wooden dowels and some royal icing. I cut my wooden dowels to the right length and then I inserted them into the cake. You want to leave about a 1/2 inch of dowel exposed outside of your cake, and that's what your arms will stick to. Like any good Valentine's Day teddy bear should have, I want to create a red ribbon around his neck. So from the red fondant that I rolled out, I use a ruler and a sharp knife to cut even strips of fondant. Then I used my overstitch tool to embellish the strips and make it look like a nice ribbon. I then used a bit of piping gel placed around the neck, picked up one of the ribbons and wrapped it around the neck of the bear. I needed to fold the fondant where the arms were to make it fit and make it look more natural the way that a ribbon would. I cut the excess away at the front of the bear, so there is a seam, but it will be hidden by a bow later on. Tail.
Oh, he has a tail?
Well, bears, yeah, teddy bears have a tail, but it's a very little tail. So I take a little bit of chocolate fondant, roll a ball, fit it up against the back of the cake, and then once I'm happy with its shape, I use a little bit of piping gel on the back and glue it in place. They have like little, I don't want to say cottontails because they're not bunnies, but they have little, stubby little tails. I need to add my nose to the front of this teddy bear, and I pick it up and hold it up against the front of my cake, and then I trim the fondant around it, leaving about a 1/4 inch excess, because if you remember, I didn't trim it before. I flipped the oval dome over onto a sponge, then I sharpened one of my dowels and pressed it into the middle. You don't want the dowel to come all the way through. I cut my dowel to the appropriate size and insert it into the face. I press my dome up against the teddy bear's face, and once it's in place, I use my fingertips to smooth that excess fondant around and meet the teddy bear's face. To finish the nose, I'm using some more of my tan fondant softened with shortening and creating a cord with my clay extruder. Then with a little piping gel, I glue the cord around the mouth, nose, snout thing. This way I'm covering the seam and everything looks nice and clean. And I move on to adding the bow. I cut 2 even lengths from my prepared red bands of fondant, and then I loop them over and glue them together to create the bow loops. You need to cut another little piece for the middle of your bow. I glue piping gel to the back of each bow loop and insert them inside. I wanted to create a heart-shaped nose, because this is a Valentine bear. So I take a little bit of red fondant and just mold a little 3-dimensional heart using my fingers. Then I glue the heart-shaped nose onto the bear, and for his mouth, I again extrude some red fondant, creating that teddy bear mouth. You know what I'm talking about? It's like the line down, the kind of, yeah. For his eyes, I'm using black fondant pressed into these scoop-shaped spoons that I have. I just want to make little dome eyes. Chill it for a bit, and then whack it out of the spoon, and then I make another eye in the same fashion. Then I added the eyes just above the snout on either side of the nose with a little bit of piping gel. Now I add the ears to my cake using the toothpicks as support, as well as a little bit of royal icing spread on the bottom. Once I added my ears, I decided I didn't like his eyes.
Why not?
I don't know. I think because the teddy bear is like dark chocolate brown, and then his eyes were black. He seemed a little sad to me. He needs to be more bright-eyed. So I wanted to add a base of tan fondant behind his eyes. I used a heart-shaped cutter and a circle cutter to create the perfect shape I wanted, and then I glued it over his snout and placed the eyes back in place. Because I wanted this to look like a beloved old bear, I decided to add some more patches. Not just any patches, heart-shaped patches. And then once again, made templates of the heart cutters that I used so I could mark holes for the stitching. The only thing different this time is I'm going to create the cords for my red stitches, cut the lengths, and I'm going to add it to the patches while they're not on the cake. Then I carefully pick up each patch, brush on some piping gel, and place them on the cake wherever I wanted them. I added one on his butt, one on the back of his neck. I actually need a patch on the back of my neck right now because it hurts. And I added one on his arm because he's the kind of bear that wears his heart on his sleeve. Did you like that?
Well, I would find that kind of stuff cheesy, but
it's Valentine's Day. We're supposed to get cheesy. Once the patches are in place, I again use my sculpting tool at the end of each stitch to make it look like it was sewn on. This bear's so loving. He's not just wearing his heart on his sleeve, he's also holding a heart that you can eat. He brought you a chocolate heart. filled with cinnamon hearts. That's how much he loves you. To create my chocolate heart, I'm using a heart-shaped mold that has a top and bottom, and I melted some pink compound chocolate and then filled the mold. Once your chocolate has set, you can carefully turn your mold over and pop both pieces out. Now we're gonna fill one half of the heart with cinnamon hearts. And then we're going to pipe some more of our melted pink chocolate around the border of the heart and carefully place our top heart on top. I mean, this is a Valentine bear, so I decided to add a fondant ribbon around the heart. So I had an extra band from the bands I made around his neck and then wrapped it around the heart. Because the heart is chocolate, you have to glue your fondant in place with some melted chocolate. It's time to put this chocolate heart in our bear's hand. So carefully pick it up and hold it against your cake. And in order to secure your chocolate heart to the cake, you will need to use melted chocolate. Chocolate is the glue for chocolate. Oh my gosh, he's so cute! Look at his little bow! And look at that pink chocolate heart filled with cinnamon hearts. So cute! Now let's smash it.
Nice.
You know what? Valentine's Day is a sad time for some people. We gotta give them something too. Click here if you'd like to watch my Valentine cakes compilation, and here for a step-by-step tutorial on my conversation hearts cake. All on my new channel, How to Cake It Step by Step. And don't forget about the contest coming up this Thursday.